Hello there, SERAPHIM 17 once again. This is the Dark Souls 2 beta playthrough, and I'm doing the two-handed R2 with the Zweihander, and I'm introducing you to the concept of poking giants. So this dual-wielding Shotel psychopathic fat Burger King dude gave a lot of people trouble in the beta, mainly because he's got like a 3-hit combo that will kill you if it lands, and he's got a lot of poise, you don't, and he's deceptive, but as you can see, he's not too bad at all, really. I came across the first confusing part of the beta where he was concerned, because there was about 3 of them in this wood at the beginning, and it turns out when you kill them a handful of times, they stop respawning, and I didn't know this, so I ended up killing all of them enough times for them to never come back. In fact, I think there was one that was still knocking around, but the 2 on the bridge who give you the most trouble, I pretty much killed every time. And they stopped respawning, and I couldn't understand why. And it turns out in Dark Souls 2, that is now a thing. Enemies will not constantly respawn. There is a limit to it, and I assume you're going to be able to bring them back via the bonfire, should you want to, but it's giving you this option of not, which I find extremely strange. But I have faith in the finished game, because the one thing a lot of people have been saying who've played it is, you know, when they played the beta it was a little bit underwhelming because it just didn't really feel or play like what they thought it would, and how everything in the main game just suddenly clicks and feels properly. You know, it works, it comes together, it forms a cohesive piece. So I've got faith that it's going to feel great as far as all that stuff is concerned. That was me getting guard broken by the skeleton, because I completely forgot that this guy comes back. The skeletons on this game, though, I don't know, man. Really, really nerfed. Nerfed to an insane degree. I just did a push then, I don't know if you noticed that, but it just didn't do anything. Which makes me think that perhaps the push only is ever useful against somebody guarding. Which makes me kind of sad, because I did like kicking people, and I don't believe there's going to be a kick in this game, because it all seems to be extremely overly framey, steppy pushes, and I'm not a big fan of them at all. But I understand why they're that way, because they allow you to riposte people, which is incredibly powerful, so they've got to give it some kind of downside. A few of you might be wondering what I'm doing here. So basically, I did a couple of invasions. I think I won one, so I've come back here thinking, or maybe I won when someone invaded me. I think that's it. Someone invaded me, I beat them, and I thought it would get me points with this guy. But you have to invade and win for him to even talk to you. So I'm thinking, well, it must be the other way around. It's the only thing I can think of. So I'll try invading, and hopefully we'll be able to get this guy to speak to me, because I had no idea what he did. And as you can see, I'm level 50. I'm checking to see what the stat increases are. There's been some changes to the stats that I don't think I've covered, but there's no real point in covering them now, because like a week or 2 away and I can cover them for real. So that was me pushing him to see what would happen. Then I talked to him. And if you don't know what weapon I'm using, it's the bastard sword, in between the long sword and the broadsword. The fatherless child sword. And this is me kind of showing you some of the moveset. So it's, you know, it's got quite a lot of different moves. I especially like the pokes, because pokes are always useful. Not quite the claymore poke. I do believe the claymore poke on Dark Souls 1 was ridiculously overpowered, but very, very useful. You throw a Horniton and a Darkwood Grain Ring and nobody could catch you, and you could just keep poking and poking as they chased. And the only people that would beat you in that were, you know, really good players or people who were good at parrying. Oh, so what I'm trying to do here, folks, is I'm testing if I can do the parry with the broadsword, two-handed. Because with some of the giant swords, you can parry when you two-hand them. There's a backstab. Looked a bit funky. Comparing a couple of weapons. I really don't like the menus on this game. I don't like how it puts you on the right hand side. You know, I hope you can change it. I liked how Dark Souls worked, and maybe it's just a product of playing that game for so long, because one of the things I'm noticing now, because I'm playing a game called God Hand, and it has the worst fucking controls and camera in any game I think I've ever played, and I could probably say the same about Dark Souls until I learned how to play it correctly, until I played it for a really long time. You know, Dark Souls controls were really sluggish and delayed and not really responsive, and they did patch a lot of that out, but it got to the point with Dark Souls where I got used to the problems with it, and no doubt I'll get used to the problems with God Hand, but unfortunately when you're playing it on hard, that game is, wow, it's probably the hardest game I've ever played, and that's not the only problem with it. I mean, the game is ridiculously hard by itself, and then combine the fact that you are less mobile than everyone else, and it just doesn't make any sense. And the easiest thing I can compare it to is everybody else is moving around like Devil May Cry controls, and you have God Hand controls, and it's not the same. But only people who will understand that are people that have put up with it and got used to it, and I do generally believe the only people who think the movement is good on that game are people who have played far too much of it, because the combat's fantastic, it's such an interesting and innovative system, but the movement and the camera is fucking horrendous. So bad. But this is me messing about with armors, just to see what they look like, just to see what the different poise breaks are and what have you on them. Putting on my sexy armor that makes the character oscillate a little bit when you first put it on. But maybe it'll be the same with Dark Souls 2. I get the feeling that the movement on it is going to disagree with me until I get used to it, because it did when I played it in every single time I've played it. You know, when I went to the convention and I played it, the movement felt really floaty, the run felt almost like I wasn't in control, like I was holding the tail of a horse and it was just leading me. Then when I played the beta, it was a pretty similar situation, I was just a little bit more used to it. Well, I do apologise about this video, guys, I'm just going through the menus here. This is perhaps something I could have trimmed out, but I did say I was going to show you everything I did. So, I suppose it gives you an opportunity to pause the menus and have a look at some stuff. This is me just testing rolls, testing run speed, because there was a theory that agility didn't actually have anything to do with the rolling or run speed. It was something that just came, you know, vicariously of leveling up, which sounds like a horrendous idea, mainly because on Soul Level 1 playthroughs, how the fuck do you get a good roll? Like, so many questions I don't understand, but the cool thing is, it's probably all completely different in the main game. And one really good example of this is Castlevania Lord of Shadows 2. On the demo that I played a couple of weeks back, you had regenerating devil arm things, you know, Dracula arms, and on the main game it's back to the old system, so it was two completely different systems being displayed. And, you know, just because we've seen something does not necessarily mean that that's the way it's going to be. So that's pretty useful. So, at this moment in time, I'm assuming this is me going for a bathroom break. Or maybe there was something happening on my capture card. Or I'm checking my router. I'm not too sure. Once again, this is pretty guerrilla gameplay. Oh, there you go. How good was that? Got cocky and died. Welcome to Dark Souls 2. So this is the Huntsman's corpse. You haven't actually seen too much of this. This is me attempting to push the vendor. And I'm going to fight her. And she's tougher than she looks, man. Everything on this game is tougher than it looks. That's one of the things I'm learning. Like, have you noticed I didn't hurt her until, you know, I aggroed her? I don't know what that's about. That was 3 hits with this weapon. Oh, I'm going to try and parry her. That's what I'm trying to do. She's doing like a cheeky jab. And I can't do it. Yeah, look how fast she is. Just really goofy attacks. Me trying to heal in retarded moments and getting beat up because of it. Here she comes. And I missed again. Went for the parry, missed it. She's loving it. Crazy merchant. I go for the backstab. I don't think there's any detection on this character. Or maybe I just missed it because the detection is kind of small. Go for it again and end up killing her. Look at the red signs at least. A couple of red signs here. I don't think this will become the Berg because it's too fucking small and too hilly. These are the first enemies that I think they only stand up when they want to pincer you. For every other opportunity, they'll just sit on their ass looking all filthy. And there's a handful of them as you move through this first like estuary of tunnels and rock face. There's a parry on this guy. Still not sitting right with the parry. I hope you can change it. I hope there's like a covenant that makes it look cool, because knocking people down and then stabbing them when they're on the ground, it just does nothing for me at all. We'll see though, you never know. It could be some, you know, awesome changed thing. But moving back towards the bonfire on this side, you'll notice that the tree log is down because I've knocked it down. I think all you have to do is press circle on it, or press examine, and it does it. You don't have to hit it, which I thought you would need to. And then we're back in the jungle. What am I on about? Welcome to the jungle! But, this is the forested area with the two bridges and the giant fellas, and you'll notice that we're going to be not that many giant fellas. And this is a torch, hollow, I guess you could call him. And that was a backstab, which looked funky. They always do, though, on this one. And you'll notice there's none of the big fellas, and at this point I'm kind of like, where is the big fella? Like, what is he doing? There's a guy around here, he's really mean and angry, and I want to kill him, and I can't find him. And he always, you know, it's a cause for concern, because you don't want to get those big guys on you with a ton of little guys, because it's going to get really, really rough really, really quick. And especially in a demo, you know, when you're timed, it's, I wouldn't say nerve-wracking, but it's definitely a conscious thought. Like, the entire time I was playing, I was always thinking about going fast. You know, I was moving out of my comfort zone, because I'm not a person who plays through games, you know, speedily on my first playthrough. I'm generally quite a relaxed person who likes to explore. But when I was playing this, oh, here we go. There's one of them. I was conscious that there was two bosses, and as soon as I killed the two bosses, I could kind of relax. And I think you've seen both the bosses at this point, so it's just me traversing Drang Lake, is it called? I think it's called. So this is a bastard sword versus a big fat dude. You see that? That's what I mean. That's why people were struggling with this enemy, because he's deceptively quick and he covers an amazing amount of distance, and this suddenly just got a little bit more interesting. But that should be okay. Yeah, the running attack's got quite a bit of a start-up, a bit of a wind-up to it, but we should be okay. The quicker roll that I'm using, I'm a big fan of it. Like that. That is the classic lure you in nonsense. And I don't know if I agree with that with Dark Souls. You know, any move that has a 3-hit combo, but they only do the following hits after you're close enough to get hit by them, so you can't counter it effectively. The Artorias is notorious for that, because you could get a hit in, but then immediately you'd have to dodge, and you're dicing with fire at that point, because you will get hurt. And unless you've got, you know, like Darkwood Grain Ring maybe, or you get off on the exact frame he's about to connect with you. But it's, I don't know, I'm not too sure how I feel about those like AI workouts. But thanks for watching, and you take care now.